I'm Jody Sanders with American Patchwork and Quilting, and this video is being brought to you by Baby Lock and the Crescendo sewing machine. I mostly make quilts, and they're larger projects, and sometimes I need something in between those bigger projects, and bags are the perfect thing. So whether you're making a large bag or a small bag, or something in between, I want to give you some tips today for making better bags. It seems kind of simplistic, but really the first and most important thing is to get out your instructions and read them all the way through for your bag pattern. And part of the reason you need to do that is to make sure that you have all the materials and the supplies that you need. There's nothing more frustrating than to sit down and be working away and all of a sudden discover that you don't have the right parts and pieces that you need to continue making your projects. Most bags can be done in an afternoon or maybe even a weekend. So having all of those materials ready to go right away is really important. The next thing you're going to do is pick your fabrics. Jerseys and knits don't typically work very well for bags because they have a lot of stretch and they don't have a lot of body. So things like tightly woven fabrics like batiks or denims, or even like some home decorator fabrics that have a little heavier heft to them, those are great choices for bags because they do hold body. And then you can also add some stabilizers to them if you need to as well. Now the next thing you're going to want to take a look at is needle and thread. So if you're looking at sewing a heavier weight fabric, you also are going to want to change out your sewing machine needle. So you might want a denim needle, which works with a heavier weight fabric, or you may want to use a microtex, and that's a super sharp needle that will go through those heavy layers. Now, most of the time in bags, you're going to have the outer portion, you're going to have some kind of stabilizer or middle, and then a lining. And so you'll have several layers that you're sewing through. So having the right needle for that project is really important. So in addition to having the right needle in your machine, you also want to have the right thread for the project that you're doing. You want to have a heavier weight thread or a top stitching thread, and that allows when those seams and everything is put together, that heavier thread is much better when you have wear and tear on your bag itself. So make sure you're using a heavier weight thread, again, with the right kind of needle. So another tip is to have the right kind of foot on your sewing machine when you're putting your bag together. This is a walking foot that's on the machine right now, and what this walking foot does is it puts several layers through the sewing machine evenly together. Now when you're making a bag, you're probably going to have the outer layer, the inner layer, and then also a lining. And so you'll have a minimum of probably 3 layers of things, plus as you're going through bag handles and pockets and things like that, you can have multiple layers. If you change out to a walking foot on your machine, that's going to make putting those seams and those top stitching areas much easier to handle. Now another foot that's really helpful is the zipper foot, and the one for this machine looks like this. You'll see that there's notches on both sides of the foot, and that's so that the needle can go down on either side so that you can get up nice and close to that zipper teeth, and you've got the option of sewing on either side of that foot. It really is worth it to take the time to switch out your feet depending on the task that you're doing for your bag. Now, another thing that you want to do to make better bags is also reinforce some of those points that get a lot of wear and tear, particularly handles. And we actually have a video that you can take a look at that shows you how to reinforce the handles by using that X stitch. And that helps when you get the handles with a lot of wear and tear. That video will show exactly how to do that. The other thing you can do is what's called boxing corners, and we have a video for that as well, and you'll see the link to that at the bottom of your screen. The boxing of the corners is simply squaring off those bottoms so that your bag can sit flat like on the table or the floor, and it doesn't flop over because it doesn't have square bottoms. So boxing your corners is also another great thing to do with your bags. So I hope you'll give some of these tips and tricks a try. Whether you're making a big bag or a medium-sized bag or a small bag, there's lots of options out there for bag patterns. We even have some free ones on our website. If you go to allpeoplequilt.com and then in the search function put bags, you'll find lots of options to make these bags and many others.